Well, it's the weekend at the Foundry, and you know what that means. It's time to do chores. The weekends when I work on the facility, maintenance related stuff, and it's just a good time to do it. There's not a bunch of hooples running around, the phone's not ringing off the hook, I'm not getting bombarded with emails and order fulfillment and all that good stuff. So it's a nice chilly day, it's in the 30s. I got to get on the roof. So the leaves continue to fall. My gutter up there is stopped up, and that poses problems inside. See, these buildings are joined at the hip with gutters in between them. When them gutters get stopped up, water collects up there and it will start coming inside the building. I've also got these leaves and things on the sidewalk. It's really windy today, so I don't know if it'd be a good time to get the leaf blower out of those or wait till it's not so windy. And then I got this gutter up here, same situation. So yeah, so from down here it looks like a really easy job. When you get up there, it's another story. So as you can see, there's really nowhere to go with the leaves except out the ends. Let me get up here without a... All right. And so basically what I have to do is start in the middle. And there's a pretty good little pitch on this roof. So if your feet get wet, you're guaranteed to bust your rear end. It's just part of it. The sooner you come to terms with it, the better off you'll be. So this is the very center, and I've got two gutters, the one that goes this way and the one that goes that way. And I start in the center, work my way out toward the end and push them off. And with this many leaves, by the time you get down there, you have a mountain, an absolute mountain. It's really inefficient. So what I'm going to do this time, I can't use a leaf blower because A, it's windy as heck today, and it would just be playing cat and mouse trying to get them off. And another thing is these gutters are actually full of water because they're stopped up. So if I used a leaf blower, it'd blow that water all over this tin, and it would be a giant slip and slide, and I'd be falling and landing on these sharp screw heads and putting dents in the roof, and it's just an abject, it's really a travesty. That's the best way I can put it. In fact, you know, to stay on top of this, I need to do it a minimum of twice a year. The leaves are about done falling, and then we've got those gumball things that are going to come down. I'll have to do it again. Really, I need to do it 3 times a year to actually stay on top of it. Because if I don't stay on top of it, water collects up here, rolls into the shop, and it'll flood the whole shop. Which the shop's just steel and concrete. It doesn't hurt all that much, but it's... who wants water on the floor in the shop? So, and it gets really thick over here. You get acorns and sticks, and it turns to mud. All that's mud. You can see under that grate. I put a little makeshift grate up here to try to keep that gutter. There's a downspout right there. Try to keep it clean. Yeah, it doesn't work too well. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a like a 20 or 30 gallon plastic garbage pail, like a garbage can with handles. I'm going to start at the middle and shovel, instead of pushing them all out to where they bunch up the size of a hay bale at the end here. I'm going to shovel them into the garbage can, bring it down, dump it over the edge, and continue down until this whole gutter's clean. And I hate it. I mean, that's why I barely do it twice a year, because it's such a disaster. And there's got to be something better than this. And the vast majority of the leaves come from this big sycamore tree. And I could cut the tree down. It would be difficult and costly because The rail yard is right there, and there's no road to access the back of this building. So I'd have to get some kind of special permission from the railroad to bring a bucket truck in, follow this in pieces, and you know, all the way down to the ground, haul it off. It would cost a fortune. Another thing, the main reason I like actually having the tree is because during the summer it provides a tremendous amount of shade for this building. I bet it keeps it 5 or 10 degrees cooler in this building during the summertime. But this is the trade-off. So let's take a look at the other side. It's usually a little better, but it's we got our surroundings here, but it's usually a little better. What has happened here is that stick has stopped the leaves from blowing out the end like they normally would. See, they've blown out that other end over there, and usually this is fairly clean, but not with that, not right now. So I'm going to take a broom. This side's a little easier to deal with. It's usually not got water in it because there's no downspouts to stop up. It just shoots off the end of the building. And the overhang of tin, on the other side, you have a much bigger overhang into the gutter. So you have to reach up underneath there and shovel that crap out. This side, the overhang's not too bad. So this is going to take most of the day. I've been dreading it and putting it off, and but I have to get it done today because we have warehousing activities going on directly underneath me. We're bringing in a lot of freight and cargo, and it cannot get wet. So I got to get this gutter clean. Now, one great thing about this channel is you never know what you're going to find or what we're going to get into. We're going to find out. Oh man, I really don't want to do this today. You know, you see a lot of channels, they call it being a professional homeowner, and they take you along and show you how to, you know, homestead and take care of your house and your property and all that. It's pretty interesting, but it, you know, mostly consists of these guys that go out and buy the latest and greatest equipment, everything from snow blowers to tractors, skid steers, all this stuff. And we don't really do that here. I guess you could call this being a professional industrial estate owner. The way we do it is basically you work with what you got. I got this storage deal going in the warehouse, and old boy was telling me the other day, he said, man, you got it so made you don't have to do nothing. Well, this is the kind of stuff he doesn't see. This and the hours and days and weeks that went into getting the facility ready, and you know, the hours I'm up here cleaning gutters and getting the roof right, and the thousands of dollars I had to spend buying insurance, and don't nothing come easy, it doesn't seem like. Not for me anyway. If I got it, rest assured it was hard earned. Well, I about got the easy part done. This one here. Now, as you can see, it holds water. That's because it's kind of settled in the middle. But I am about to break the dam here, and it should drain some of it. It's starting to drain, and it'll drain off a little bit of what's settled up here, but not all of it. And that kind of ticks me off. I've had this gutter replaced about 6 or 7 years ago, and the original gutter that was here was very well made. It was a heavier gauge of material. It was probably made back in the early 40s, and you see this solder joint here, that just looks awful, and I just can't imagine it's going to do a whole lot of, I don't know how long that's going to stay sealed. So that upsets me after all the money spent. The original gutter, like I said, it was very well made. The ends were folded, crimped, riveted. There wasn't any solder to it. They just really did a phenomenal job back in the 40s. So I hired this outfit. They're the only ones that I contacted 4 different places. They're the only ones that came out and actually quoted the job. But at the time I had it leased, and so I wasn't paying for it. The previous owner was. Big outfit, so they, money's not as much of an object to them. And that may have been why the bid was so high. But yeah, they were supposed to fix this to where the water wouldn't accumulate anymore. They were supposed to put me bigger downspouts. None of that worked out. The material they used is thinner than the original. And I mean, there's a lot that went on. I mean, some of it wasn't their fault, but I just wasn't particularly happy given the amount of money that was invested in the deal. I was thinking, all right, these guys are going to fix it right. It's a huge sum of money, but it's going to be worth it. Never have to mess with it again, at least in my lifetime. I hope that's still the case, but I mean, it's already starting to rust, and I don't know. It's just when it comes to contractors, in our region anyway, now there's better regions of the country where you can find some more professional people, but here they want to charge insane amounts of money, but they leave you with shoddy results. But that's anything nowadays. Body shops, repair shops, it doesn't matter. It's the state of society. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on that rant, but the easy side is done. This is the hard side. I'm going to knock it out next. All right, so after hours of toiling, I have got the gutters clean on both sides of the building. And one last thing I always have to do after I clean the gutters is go around, tighten up screws, and use some silicone to fix any leaks. I often find bullet holes. Don't know where they come from, but they are straight up bullet holes. So I fill those in with silicone and touch up any little places where I know I've got leaks, which surprisingly this building I don't really have any leaks on it. This one's a different story. This roof is newer, however the purlins are actually 2x4s and they're not treated, and so what'll happen is those screws will back out over time, so you kind of have to keep them tight, and if the 2x4 rots a little bit, the screw might actually strip out, so you got to put silicone on it. This building is all Carnegie steel. There ain't no wood on it, but somebody kind of cheaped out when they put the roof on this one. Now the steel structure, the trusses and all that are inland steel, but they used wood purlins, and I don't like it, but it is what it is. So we're just going to go around and look for bullet holes, screws that need to be tightened, and I have marked a few places where I know I've got some little leaks, so I'm going to get them fixed up. And I'll take my finger and just kind of rub that in as soon as I have a free hand. I'm not holding the camera. But yeah, there's screws all over this roof that require attention, but I just have to do the best I can a couple times a year. And like I said, this building over here, never really have any problems out of it because, well, for one thing, it doesn't have any screws. Back in the teens or 40s or whenever this building was built, it's kind of disputed, but they didn't use screws. They used nails, and well, they're not even really nails, but they're very similar to nails. What this is a long, picture a long nail, and the purlins are angle iron. That nail goes around the angle iron, wraps up, and they have some kind of tool, or they did back then, I assume, that tightened it. It pulled the tin to that angle iron, and by bending it around like that. And that right there is a lead washer, and lead holds up apparently very well, because this is the original roof. It's in dispute when it was built. This is either the original Foundry building from 1909. It's definitely on the site, on the footprint of the original building. If it's not the original, according to county records, there was something built in 1941, and it's possible that that's when this building was built. But I kind of feel like it's older than that, because the steel inside is stamped Carnegie steel. Of course, Carnegie sold out to J.P. Morgan in 1901. They formed U.S. Steel, but they continued to use the Carnegie rolling dies up until the 30s. So, you know, I can't really just go by that. But it's interesting. I had to figure it out one day. This side's done as well. This side, like I said, it usually keeps itself pretty clean because there's no end caps on the gutters. It allows the leaves to easily wash out or blow out with the wind. But you know, that tree branch fell right there and it just stopped the whole thing up. But the good news is, here's a screw I need to deal with right there. The good news is I was able to use the leaf blower. This gutter, it wasn't just terribly wet, and so I started in the middle and blew the leaves out, wind permitting. This wind has just been a disaster for this project. You got to have the wind at your back when you're blowing them leaves off, or this is going to go everywhere and blow them right back in your face. That's why I had to do a lot of the other side by hand, even the dry parts. But this is done, and so the spring project, one of the spring projects, is going to be to paint this roof, and I'm not exactly sure how to go about that. The two options I see are, here's my HVAC unit. Just had a new fan motor put on there to the tune of $870. And that wasn't an after hours call. That was a weekday during business hours. I work out of town a lot, so you know, I got up at 4. I'm making my lunch for the day, cooking breakfast. I hear this god-awful crash up on the roof. Lights flicker inside. I'm thinking, man, my unit crashed. It's done, you know. So I called somebody to deal with it while I was gone, because I couldn't take off work to deal with it. I did end up taking off, but it's a long story. But anyway, he come back and said, "Oh, it's just the fan motor." I'm thinking, good. I'm thinking we ought to be able to have this wrapped up for $300 or $400 total. A couple $100 for the motor, a couple $100 labor. Be done with it. He come back in, it was $870. And it's better than having to replace the whole thing, but my gosh. So anyway, back to this roof. I had this section coated. The office is under this section with a fibered aluminum roof coating, and it lasted about 8 years, which is guaranteed for 7, I think, but it wasn't real happy with, I figured it last 10. If it's warranted for 7, you figure, oh, you ought to be able to get 10 out of it or what have you. But no, it pretty much failed right when the warranty expired. And so I believe they mopped it on. And so my question is, I need to do the entire building. I don't have any leak problems. It's mostly cosmetic, but I want to protect that tin so it doesn't get extremely rusty. And I'm trying to decide if I should go with a textured aluminum coating or just silver barn and silo paint. So they're supposed to last about the same amount of time. But what I like about just the regular paint is, A, you don't need any special equipment to spray it on if you end up spraying it. You can mop it or spray it or whatever. But also, it's not so thick. This stuff flakes. And so now, before I can paint it, what I'm going to have to do, get some wire brushes. They look like push brooms, like you'd sweep your shop out with, but they got, wire bristles. And we're gonna have to wire brush this whole roof to get that loose crap off of there before we can paint it either way, whether we go back with textured aluminum or just regular aluminum paint. If you have any experience with this, drop it in the comments section what I should do. And there's a lot of square footage on this, but I'm just thinking, you know, the next time I have to deal with it, if it's got this textured crap, this whole roof's gonna be flaking, whereas just the regular paint, I mean, it flakes a little bit, but it mostly just wears off. And I believe that's what the Foundry used. This roof was probably painted 40 years ago, and I believe that's what they used. I mean, it could have been longer than that, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm really on the fence about it, so if you have any suggestions, I would be glad to hear them in the comment section. All right, roof's clean, gutter's clean, leaks fixed, sidewalk's clean, and the street is clean. So I'm done for the day. I'm gonna go get ready for the work week, and I will see you guys in the next one.